Hello, my witchlings. Hello, my witchlings. How are you? I just am on here to do a live class tonight, as I mentioned I would be. So yeah, I hope that you enjoy what I'm about to say. Hello. All right, so I am Mel. I'm just going to run you through what I do in Little Witchlings classes. And so let's just start at the very beginning. So I am a healer. I have been a healer for a long time now. And through my life and different circumstances that I come about, I kept being drawn back to it more and more. It was a bit of a side gig, and then a bit later on in life I stepped right into the full role of what it is. And the witch part of me it's been there since I was a kid. So I love the witch world. I am someone who has studied continuously throughout my life in different ways. When I practice magic, I am not somebody to get tired or exhausted from it. Witches are very on trend at the moment, and I'm loving this awakening that is happening. And there is a lot of information out there, so I just want to make sure that the information out there is of an integrous sort, and helping people to make sure that they can practice magic and they can do it where they're not worn out, that it's not coming back to get them. There's no hexes or bindings or horrible things that might affect them at a later date, as can do with magic. So yeah, in regards to how I come about into magic, I was one of those kids who at 7 years old was making rose water on the stove. My mum, I'm very strong-willed. I don't think she had much of a say in it. I was very adamant that I was going to be doing what I was doing, and we have a long family history of witchcraft in our ancestry, and I wasn't aware of that until we were older. My sister and I both were unaware that we were from this line. It's quite common that that it is not told until you're an adult and you can actually know the actual full consequences. However, having said that, going to my auntie's house and doing different things, we were always aware that things, as a young child, doing protection, spiritual bathing and things like that were actually the norm for us, but they weren't the norm for anyone else. And we sort of spoke about it and laughed, and why we always had these uncanny abilities to know things, and and why we were always invested in different herbs and crafts and different things and what we were doing behind them. There was no background knowledge into why. It was only ever we were just doing it with our aunties and having great fun. And then as we got older, it was disclosed to us actually how powerful we were, and that was a really good thing. Wish I had known a bit earlier, because it would have made life just a little bit easier. But yeah, and probably, yeah, so my family, I want to explain witchcraft in a general sense, basically. So in the healing world, we use universal life force energy to flow through and to heal. That is the basic concept behind energy healing. In the witchcraft world, there is actually there's good and bad energy, and we can all feel that. That's good and bad vibes. That's what it is in the witchcraft world. So you have your light energy, you have your dark energy. There's no in between. Dark is not bad. Good is not good. It's not as simple as that. It depends on who you are as a practitioner and to how you actually use it. So you can be, and there is so many different terminologies for witches out there at the moment. A kitchen witch is one, a herb witch. There's just so many, and it basically stems from 3 different types. You're either a white witch, a grey witch, or a black witch. So in having said that, a white witch comes wholly from the heart. A grey witch and a dark witch they are the ones who they capture the negative energy and they actually use it in their magic. So they have a really good purpose too, for what they do it for. And a grey witch dabbles in a bit of both. I am 95% good witch. I'll leave it at that. We all have that ability to with the family that I come from, there is that ability. There is a lot of dark witches in it, so I am very versed in it. I don't practice in it, and it's not because it's draining or any of those side effects that come from that a lot of people can't handle practicing that kind of magic. It's that I purely want the world to know love. I just genuinely want everyone to know they're loved and supported, and no one needs to hurt. And I think that if we can all support each other and love each other and help each other, then the world's a good place. So having said that, the dark magic is good for those who need it. I yeah, mostly good. So what I do run through in each class, and what I'm kind of going to run through tonight is it's a very moderated version, because normally my classes are very interactive and very hands-on, and I can't sort of say to you, here, smell this or feel this, or, you know, work on this. So I run through 5 different topics. I did them on a little cheat sheet for you. So I always go through energy, yoga, breathwork, a different kind of crystal, and then I go into something specifically related to witchcraft. So they're all interlinked. They are all interlinked in such a good way. And if you ask a yogi if they're practicing witchcraft, of course they're going to say no. However, the idea behind yogi and breathwork and meditation and centering yourself, that is the power that we have. So the whole idea behind witchcraft and all the tools that are out there, while they are amazing, the magic is actually in us, and that comes from our energy. So I'm going to do this in a very basic form. I know a couple of you actually know already about energy, but I'm not sure if anyone else does. So I'm going to start super duper simple. And you don't have to be Reiki attuned, you don't have to, I teach this to my 4 and 5 year old kids that I work with. So what it basically is energy comes from us. It comes from the universe, it's in us, it's everywhere. It's what's made up in cars, it's everywhere. So to look like this is, can you see that picture? This is a basic representation. I've got a little backlight on, but of where energy go, like from our center out into the universe, down into the ground. All right, if we're specific and we talk chakras, this is our chakra system, and I'm not going into detail onto this because there is so much information out there around these 7 main chakras, but so you can see our energy field, how it expands, and as it expands, if you can't or don't know your energy, you can't practice magic, because that is what it is. And I'm going to explain this, and I've got a little, so if you do a spell, and there's so many people who are out there doing this, if you can't tether a spell, this is a simple experiment to teach you how, or to show you what will happen if you don't know your energy. So it's just a simple lacquer band, put it around there. Right, so if you are doing some form of magic or some form of spell, and you can't anchor your spell to something because you don't know how to, because you've just read this spell online, you're like, yep, this is really great. What's going to actually happen? Let me just link this over this other side. Oh, shit. That's what happens. That energy comes right back at you. So it won't happen instantly, but it's going to come back. And it doesn't matter if it's a good spell or a bad spell. It doesn't matter if you have good intentions or bad intentions. Whatever energy you put out into the universe through the form of magic, it actually hurt my hand. But it has that way of just snapping and coming right back, and it has to. Everything has to be anchored and tethered. And so it's really important that before you go down the path of doing spells, and my witchlings will all know this, who I taught in term 1, it was the final week that we even dabbled in spell work, because I needed to make sure that they could protect and cleanse and work with their energy in that sense. And I say that with an open heart, because energy, we all know good. You walk into a room, and if it's a happy space, you feel loved and great. If you walk into a room and there's just been an argument, you might not have heard the argument, but you will have feel the stagnant or the heavy energy in the room. So what we do, the best way that I can show you about energy is just, we're going to start by rubbing our hands together. And if you already know how to do this, let's do this, because I know some of you are coming back to see me for next term, and I'm excited to see you too. So let's hope your energy is still working because it does take practice. So just keep rubbing your hands together. Rub, rub, rub. Wiggle your fingers around. Get your hands really warmed up in whatever way they can be. Alrighty, so your fingers are going. And then I want you to cup your hands and slowly pull them apart. And keep doing it until you feel that resistance. If you can't feel it, try again. So my hands are with the chakras that I quickly just mentioned. I'll let you keep doing this while I chat. With the chakras that I mentioned, there are these 7 main ones here. However, we actually have 114 chakras in our body. There is just so many going. And what a lot of people don't know, these here are a couple of the other main ones. I've got some of my diagrams. But our hands are our full 7 chakra system as well. So if you can see that. So if we aren't balanced and we aren't centered and we aren't feeling 100% all throughout the 7 here. There is a simple way to reactivate them with your hands, and that is just by doing different yoga. Yoga is not just a full asana practice. It can simply be through hand stretching. So if you want to do this, if you're not feeling the energy as I showed you, you might need to warm your hands up. So just start. Take some big breaths in. And just really get your hands open. This is something that is often forgotten about. And just make sure you can wiggle each one. And this is just for those who can't feel that. So yeah, where I include yoga in my classes, it's not the asana practice, it is just the and I want this to be an interactive class, so if anyone has any questions, please just feel free to pop them on the screen. And make sure you can roll your wrists. If you have rings on, you might need to take them off. Metal does actually stop the flow of energy. It's just one of its properties. Unless it's protected or different. This is a special bracelet I wear. So yeah, and then try now. Go back and do it. And just rub your hands together and just pull it apart. So that energy that we have, you should be able to make it, if you can, pull it apart and see if you can make it a ball. Move it around. But that energy that we have in there, that's what's in us. That's the bit that flows all around us, comes out of us. So that's the bit that when we have to know how to protect that, we have to know how to utilize that. And it's amazing to work with in magic, but this is the magic. So like I said, all the tools in the world and all the spells and all the things that we can do in this modern witchcraft world, when you are in control of your energy, you have a lot more power. So yeah, that's just a simple introduction into where the basic of energy and what we need to do with that in magic. I'm going to run you through just a little breathwork technique just so that we can all breathe, and once we've breathed and gone into that, then we'll go into the magical side of things as well. So, sorry. This is a different breathwork technique. There is so many sorts out there, and I've done quite a few on different little lives and different things, but if you are new to breathwork, the basic idea behind it is just about centering yourself, and if you're in water or you're driving a car or something along those lines, just make sure that you're safe, you're not going to fall over. Sometimes you can get a little bit dizzy or lightheaded, or you might get hot or cold, just different sensations through you. Just go with it. If you start to feel unwell, obviously stop. That's just use common sense always. So this form of breath work, it's a different one. So it's 10 breaths in. We're going to breathe in and out for 10 breaths. You can use your nose and in your nose and out your mouth. And then we're going to hold for 10 seconds. And we're going to breathe in and out, and I'll guide you through this. And we're going to do it 4 times. And what that actually does is it's the quickest way to drop into ourselves, and then we can work through some magical things and have some fun. So I'll just, if you all just take a big breath in and out. Get cozy. I hope yous are all cozy. So what I want you to do is I just want you to get really comfy, and we're just going to start. It won't take long, just a quick little breath work practice. So we're going to breathe in and out. And now we're going to do 10 breaths. Keep going. If I'm going too fast, slow down at your own pace. Now a big breath in. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now breathe in again through your nose. Now big breath in and hold for 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now breathe out. Now breathe in again. In. Okay, ready to breathe in, a big breath again. And hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now breathe in for the last round. And release it all. Let go. And breathe in good. And big breath in and hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and let it out. Breathe. And so I hope you all just feel a little bit calmer. That is the importance of breath work. It's not something that you can do when you are in the midst of anxiety or in the midst of panic, but practicing that every day, it does help just center you, and it helps bring you back so that you can remember your intentions, your manifestations, the reason behind why you want to be a witch and what it is you actually want to do with your craft. And it's really important that, where we spoke earlier about working out with you, if you want to be a white witch, a grey witch, or a black witch, working out where you want to go and just following that journey as it is, because like I said, there is a massive on trend at the moment, and just keeping that integrity behind it. So if you are going into the path of finding someone of who you want to be, your witch or your healer, just to touch on lightly with the word integrity, make sure that you ask them all the questions. How long have they practiced? What have they studied? What is their specialty? Where I say that I've practiced and studied since I was a child because of my family, it's not just about me, making rose water on the stove. It's about me learning and reading consistently, and always. I didn't do real spells until 15, 16. I was doing tarot and other psychic gifts, but psychic is not witch. Witch is different, and the practice behind it. So I do just want you to ask the question, and please ask the questions around specifically, what do you know? For me, studying wasn't just about, you don't just learn about sage and say, here we go. The best kind of witch that you can ever be is by working with what's in your area. So I actually did a grad dip in natural resource management because I knew the environment called me, but I wanted to understand my area. There's books on the southwestern region for plants. So coastal tea tree is one of my best friends in my craft because I know the magic behind what it has, and it's just down all along the foreshore and around the streets, and I can find that easy, so I don't have to order things in. The other thing that you can do to be a witch is actually call on your ancestors. If you're not sure who your ancestors are, you can go through, do a Google search of your surname and find out where your surname comes from, and look into what kind of witchcraft they practiced and see what was actually they were drawn to in specific traditions. There's certain things that people of colour can only use through hoodoo and voodoo. I can't practice that way. It's the same with shamans. I can learn the modalities, but I can't ever call myself that. So we have Indigenous family. I can use those things, but I can never be called, the Nangari and those sorts of things. So it's just really important that you understand where people is, or even their journey. They don't have to have degrees, they don't have to have books and on it, but they have to, if they're a specialist in love spells, well, why are they a specialist in love spells? And question where they've come from. If they say that they are mad for salts, why do you know about salts? Or oils, why do you know about oils? What's your experience? Whatever it is, what is your background with this? And so just really push that you want to know who it is that's teaching you and why they want to teach you. I am a healer because I've been broken multiple times. multiple times, and I've learnt how to heal through many different ways. My science degrees and my natural resources and all them don't come into that, but my witchcraft, they come into that. My degrees and my qualifications come in, as well as my personal and my family history. That's what makes me me. And yeah, so I just really want you to be aware that you have the right to ask the questions. If you go into a shop and you say to them, well, how do you know about this? Ask why they're interested in whatever it is that they're selling in the witchcraft world. Are they specifically drawn to crystals for a reason? Are they specifically drawn to witchy food? Why is it that you love the kitchen witch so much? And just an honest, gentle conversation around that is a really good thing, and it will benefit you more in the long run by weeding through 20 or 30 people who want to be influencers or who want to be on brand because it's on trend, rather than you learning what your heart is. And age doesn't matter. So if you are someone who you might be 20 years old and you might be one of the best damn witches out there, or you might be 90 and you might just be stepping into your power, but everything throughout your life has been leading you up to this point you didn't actually know until you spotted something and it sparked an interest and you're like, wow, you can have that. So it doesn't have to matter a length of time either, and it doesn't have to matter with ancestry in regards to, you don't have to have bloodlines, you don't have to have family like mine. Yes, that helps. Yes, that gives me an understanding into different things and a long experience with it, but it's not always necessary. We all have our own journeys, so it's really important to remember to embrace who you are and who you want to be, and just ask lots of questions and make sure that when you are practicing you are protected and you are safe. So the next thing that I wanted to quickly touch on was crystals. And I'm going to do clear quartz purely because it's simple and it is the one. So tonight the basic idea behind what I'm going to teach is things that you can use that you will have around. Clear quartz is found in watches, TVs, phones. It stores energy. It is an amplifier. So this is the one that when you don't have any other crystal, this is the crystal that you want, because it will make do overall it will just replace anything. So it comes in different sorts. This is a rough sort. This is a specifically tailored wand form. So that's actually been shaped. And this is a natural wand form with the crystals. I'm just showing the different types that you can get them. That's just a solid point. And this is a cluster. So it doesn't matter what sort that you specifically buy. This is quartz in with apophyllite and stilbite, just in case you see different bits. So they can come all combined, they can come in different ways, different shapes, different whatever it is. I do have exciting news about crystals. I have partnered up with my girls up in Queensland, and I have 10% off if anyone wants to buy some. So Unearthed Crystals is two sisters in Queensland who I've been chatting with for about 4 years now, online. And they've opened up for partnerships, and so they've come about. So if you want to go onto their line, if anyone's interested, you use the code HAPPYWITCH10 when you're placing your order, the promo code, and you can get 10% off, which is a bonus because crystals are not cheap. But they have amazing two things that I love about their store. One is their book library. So they always have up-to-date on-trend books, and you don't have to ever feel like you're buying or utilizing every single witch book, but with their books they are so diverse, and they tend to get things into that they're privately made. So there's decks of cards and books that aren't sold everywhere. They're not the generic ones that you can pick up from your local Dimmicks. They often get those unique ones because they do sell with integrity, and all their crystals come from places where they can guarantee there's no child labour. It's all run by small businesses and they're supporting them. So we started chatting years ago, and they said to me that I can have that 10% off for anyone who wants to do it. So if anyone's interested, with the clear quartz. So if you don't have any other crystal, you can use this, and it does stores it keeps all things into it. I just got a little tap in, sorry. There's different things that you can see in crystals, and there is clear quartz, if whatever you put it with. So if you do have another crystal, this will amplify it. So it's amazing to use in griddings or around your home. If you specifically want to bring, for example, calm into your home and you don't have another crystal, you could pop it with some lavender. and just sit it beside it, and it will amplify the lavender. That's what clear quartz does. It's why we can see pictures on our TVs and different things. It's just amazing in how it does that. And now what I want to do, I've shown you the tethering in a spell, and we've spoken about finding out what's in your local area. So being in Torquay, being in the southwest Barwon region, if you just want to Google, wherever your area is, find out what region in the country or the world that you're in, and just Google what is native plants to it, and you'll often find that they are the best kind of plants. And if you find one plant specifically that you are drawn to, Google the magical properties of that plant and find out what it is and why, and start working with that. You are better to be the best worker of lavender than to be the best worker of 10 or 15 different plants. And there are so many different things, and I promote this as much as I possibly can. You don't have to have all the tools. By having lavender is amazing. It removes the evil eye, it removes negative energy, it stimulates clairvoyance. Simple little plant like this that everyone seems to forget about. So if you wanted to do, quite often people will get sage and run around and sage everything. Sage it's a clean slate. It wipes out good and bad spirits. If you use a bit of lavender, a bit of rosemary, and a bit of juniper, the three together, so like I just said, lavender removes the evil eye, it removes negative energy, and it stimulates clairvoyance. Rosemary, this exercises unwanted presences. So if you have entities and things around in your room or negative energy, this, by drying this out and burning it, combined with your lavender and your juniper, just add a dash of it in for protection. It's amazing to do and so simple, and it can be found anywhere. Cedar is very similar and amazing for protection, so you don't have to buy sage online or white sage and get bought into the trend of buying all the witchy craft things, because we have them all around our neighbourhood. And in regards to the lavender and the rosemary, they don't have to be a specific sort. With sage it should be white sage, but that has to be purchased from Native Americans, and you've got to really source where it's coming from. So it's just a really good way to make sure that you're doing things with integrity. But if you know what's around your neighborhood, then you can just go for a walk. Geraniums are amazing to use in flower things, and just, yeah, so if you do a Google on your local area and the native plants to it, and then find a plant that you like, and as I mentioned, then Google the magical properties of that. I'm trying to give you the tools so that you don't have to go out and buy a lot of things, and you can just do that yourself and use that as a form of protection or cleansing. Those three combined will do both, and that will leave the good spirits around, because like I mentioned with sage, where it removes everything, it's so easy to remove everything, but then it's heartless, and we want the good spirits around. The importance of protecting and cleansing our energy, I can't stress this enough. I think too often in today's society we are worn out, we are exhausted, and we just want to crawl in a heap. We have to go on when we get home, we have to go on vacations when we, to try and get a break away, or we have to wait for Saturday and Sunday or weekend to try and get a rest. And by being able to protect your energy and find a bit of balance around that. So where we did the energy exercise earlier on, if you can imagine that's your energy, and you can imagine that goes all around you, there's a couple of things that you can do to help protect yourself that's not just in the energy form. But a quick way to do your energy, if you know you're going into a toxic situation, whatever it is, or even if you just know that in the morning you're feeling a little bit tired and you might be a bit more sensitive to something, when you stand at the front door, imagine from your base chakra, so right down where your groin is, and zip it up. Zip up your energy as high as you can, and then just hold on to it. And by zipping up your energy, you're actually protecting yourself, and that way, and then when you get home, you can unzip it and you can do some spiritual bathing, and that will help wash it away. So by spiritual bathing, what I actually mean is it's a really deep bath. It does have salts, so I do my own salts, purely because I want to know what's in them, and this is just lavender, chamomile, and it's stuff from my garden. I do grow a lot of my own herbs, but yeah, it is just some different salts. And when you fill the bath as deep as you can, often I'll jump in and it'll flow over. That's a good spiritual bath. So having that soak and popping some crystals in it. So if you have tumbled stones, they are amazing. Don't ever use a crystal that ends in ite, I-T-E, for your bathing. So things like selenite, This is an amazing one for protection, but if you put it in water, it'll actually bubble, and when it bubbles, it'll actually start to disintegrate. Kyanite, calcite, those sorts of things. The easiest way to remember a crystal that doesn't go in water is one that ends in the ITEs. So if you can do that, and that will help just cleanse and protect. My baths always, when I pull the plug, look like a cup of tea has been left in there. You can get an infuser and pop the stuff in if you want, if you don't want to clean it out afterwards. But some other things that are really good for... I'm going to have some tea. Sorry, I made tea just before I started. Some other things that are really good for protection are essential oils. Frankincense I love. I do love resins, but some days I don't want to be in the resin world. I want to be more in an oil world. Other things are bush flower essences. So just little things. These are Australian ones. I love the world. I 110% am a girl of the world, but by using what's native to Australia, it just has more impact on the magic and the things that I want to do with it. So that's why I use the Australian bushflower essences. A great one where I live is the ocean, so salt water and just going in for a swim. Another thing that is really good to do is it's by saying a mantra 3 times over. So you can, I'm not sure if anyone really knows anything about deities, or those angels, spirits, universal guides. So there's a bit of difference between them. So when we are performing magic, if we are calling in a deity, this is Lord Shiva, if you can actually see. Try and get it out of the background light. So Lord Shiva is by actually saying Om Namaya Shivana 3 times in a row, you'll call him in for protection. Now that is great, but when you access a deity, you are actually accessing that for life. So there's a lot of things that people don't know about this. So when you call someone in and you put them on your altar and you're like, I want to work with you, they become one of yours. So it's the same with a spirit guide. People are like, oh, I have to have all these spirit guides. No, you don't. You are better off to work with just trusting maybe an ancestor. Maybe you have a nana who you loved who passed, or maybe there's someone else out there who you can call on. Even if you haven't experienced anyone who's passed, you can call on your ancestors because they have your best interests at heart. They are the ones who really want to see you succeed. And so by calling them in, until you can find out who your spirit guide is, or who you can find out which deity you like, or which guardian or which spirit animal, until you actually know which ones you want to be connected to, there are ways to use them for a once or twice off. And that is by saying specific wording and things like, I am using you just for this purpose of this experience, and I thank you very much for it, and gratitude always. And it's a bit more tricky. So that's why a lot of people often say, I did this spell and it was amazing, and it went out to the world, and then a few days later they'll be like, oh, it didn't seem to work, but they don't feel right. And where I showed you how to tether or anchor that spell and what the effects are, it's the same with locking magic too. So when we lock magic, you get a key. And this is part of the reason why I don't teach spells as well until people know their energy and protection and cleansing. But when you get a key, and while you're performing the spell, you actually put it in and lock it so that then it's set. And once it's actually set, it's set. So you can't do a reverse on that. You can't call it back and say, oops, I made a mistake. Some spells you can. Whereas with that spell, once it's locked, it's locked and it's done. And there are some reasons why we do that. In regards to... On the dark side, they tend to do it with binding, hexing. If the binding is for a permanent reason, they will lock it. If it's just for a temporary reason, if it's for a hex, same. If it's for a temporary reason, yes, they won't lock it. If it's for a permanent reason, they will. In regards to what I would lock a spell for is for if someone is really struggling maybe with depression and they're not accepting that they need help, I might put some self-care and love into their life and say, hang on, we need to do this and we need to lock it into place because they haven't been listening to the universe. And so it's for their own well-being. And that's the magic that I do. It's always for the greater good and of an individual, or for what it's for. So if you are going to be calling in, make sure you know who you're calling in. And like I said, I see so often that people will say, oh, I use this angel for this, and this spirit guide for this, and this deity for this, and that is all great and amazing. And with the angels, it's a little bit different. Archangel Michael and all of them, they're happy to pop in and out whenever. But when you are calling on someone and bringing them to your altar, you are stuck with them in you. So make sure that you know a lot about them. With this, with Lord Shiva, he is actually, so there's lots of different ones. The reason that I actually chose him is because he protects you as you need. So he's fair and just. He's not someone who's just like, yeah, you asked for help, so I'm going to give it. He only gives help to people who is worthy, and those who aren't, he actually gives them a bit of a backhand, and I really like that side of it, because sometimes life, that's just how it works. As good as a witch as I am, sometimes people just need that. That's fine. So some other ways that we can protect ourselves, and this is one of the best ones that I love, and I use this quite a lot. Being a natural healer as well as a trained one, I run into a lot of people who are a bit negative. So if you do run into someone and they do maybe it's a family member you have, it might be your mother-in-law, it might be a sister, whoever it is, but if whenever you are saying goodbye to them, you just turn around and say, thanks, have a great day, and just smile and be positive, and that just automatically bounces straight back to them everything that they've tried to do to you. So where they might not be aware that they're trying to bring you down, or they generally are, but if you can smile and be positive back and just be like, yep, love you too, it throws them for a 6. And that is one of the best protections that we have for ourselves. It keeps us safe, keeps us happy, and you walk away and it sends everything back to them, and we walk away and we know that we're okay. And that is a really good thing with protection. Other things that we can do is cloaking or mirror balling. If anyone knows what they are. So cloaking is where you energetically, as we mentioned with the energy in our hands, if you can imagine that being a cloak and coming over your head, and mirror balling is where you imagine yourself in a mirror ball. So there are other techniques that I'm happy to go through at another time, but I am conscious of time and I just want to get through what I sort of planned. So they are super duper powerful, cloaking and mirror balling. I love them. I use them often. And the other one that I also use, because I see energy and different things, I use sunglasses. So energetic sunglasses go on and off, so I know when I actually want to, when I want to turn it on and turn it off. Another thing that you can do, crystals, black tourmaline is a really great one, and selenite is a really great one. They're amazing for protection. You can, if you know where you are going or what you are doing, you can cast a circle. Cast a circle is the best thing that you can do in magic and should always be done, whatever form of magic you're doing. If you can't do it in a physical sense, in the sense of crystals, salt, sticks, Mother Nature, then learn to do it energetically where you can do it. Your finger is your best one that you will have. So where we were playing with that energy at the start, do that around you or do that around others. A mother who loves her children will automatically do that around them when they, will automatically do that around them when they have a hug. So if you think of hugging someone you love and you embrace them and you combine the energy, that is a circle. So you just keep practicing and learn how to do that. And again, I'm happy to go into more information about anything if anyone has any questions. Setting boundaries. This is one that is it's not always easy. It's so easy for people to talk about, set these boundaries, do this, do that. That's not always easy, but by having boundaries around our time and around our space, it really does encourage us to live a better life. And the higher we vibe, the better our magic will be. So, and the more protected we are as well. So if you know that you are going into a negative situation, do you actually have to go? Like, do you? It's that kind of a thing. We all know that, and we all think that we have to because we're obligated to, but what would actually happen if you didn't, or if you did go and then you just walked out the second that you noticed it started to feel bad? Would the repercussions be that bad, apart from maybe a nasty phone call or something else? So just think about with your boundaries what you can actually what I know we are told that we should do certain things, but do you actually have to do them? And would the repercussions of you walking away to protect yourself actually be worse if you didn't do them than if you did? So weigh that up and just really embrace that inner power. Another really good thing is by building a strong aura. So where we were talking about energy that we had in our hands, if you can imagine that in your belly and you imagine that flushing out throughout your whole body in a different directions, that and white light going through, that is one of the greatest ways that we can actually flush through our aura. And it's so simple and it's quick, and it's just a really good way to have that minute of spreading it out and cleansing it. Things like good food, sleep, meditation, breath work, all those sorts of things, they are amazing for raising our vibes to live great. But if you need to, just on a second, another really great technique to do to call your energy back to help protect you. So if you have been out somewhere and you just had a bit of you need the protection for yourself, a really great way to do it is just to set the intention of what it is that you want. So if you can just visualize yourself, and for example, it might be self-love or protection. I really want to protect myself from all the negative vibes out there. Just visualize, set that intention, and then I want you to imagine a golden sun up above your crown and in the shape of an egg. So once that golden sun is up there, I want you to actually envision that it cracks open, and as it cracks open, the golden light from the sun comes down and flows through all of your body, and then reset the intention as you can visualize it flowing through. So as it's flowing through, I set the intention for more protection and self-love, whatever it was that you're doing. And that is the quickest way to call your energy back. After you've done it, you'll notice you're a lot more focused, you're clear. It's like you've had a good 20-minute nap. So don't do it while you're on the phone or sitting there, with the TV on. Take a minute, step to the side, and just do a couple of quick breaths and run through that. And it's a really good way just to reset and to protect yourself again, especially if you've got to go between different situations of where you are going to be faced with multiple times where you need protection. Another way that you can do it is... So we've spoke about cleansing, we've spoke about oils and crystals and salts and different herbs and finding out about your local herbs and things. Another thing that you can do is create your own little spray. So it's really, really simple. It's just 1 part of alcohol, so vodka, vinegar, witch hazel, 1 part of that, and then 8 parts of moon water, or some form of rainwater, some form of natural water, and then the essential oils that you like. I tend to use specific frankincense, lavender, the ones that I mentioned, rosemary for protection, juniper, those sorts of ones, and a pinch of salt. And that is a simple little spray that you can make yourself. Another thing that you can do is you can learn specific energy healing if you want to, so that you can practice on your own time. So things like Reiki, there's so many people out there who are willing to teach different healings. And even if you go down that Google path of YouTube and type in energy healing techniques that you can learn, Qigong, there's so many out there. I know I taught 8 in the first, so my first term was 8 weeks, and I taught a different one each week for people. And things like the mirror balling and the cloaking, they are also different energy techniques. There's Qigong, Qigong, there's all different. So if anyone wants to learn any, again, get in touch. I'm happy to share this information because, like I mentioned, I really just want people to learn about this and learn that you can be a practicing witch, but you can have integrity in what you do and understand that you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money. The magic that we have is in here, and by utilizing our energy and what's around us in a natural sense, Mother Nature is the best energetic force we have in so many ways, and it provides us with one of the most magical outlets that we have. It's constant gifts. If you walk barefoot, where we spoke earlier about the chakras being in our hand, the 114 chakras that we have all throughout our systems, where they're also in our hand. If we go barefoot through nature, it's an automatic forest bathing. It's actually called that in Japan. I just call it going barefoot in nature. I do it all the time. But it is an amazing grounding technique. So they are the basic protection forms that I've got, that I've run through with you. I hope they helped a lot. In regards to the last little bit that before we finish, I wanted to show you how to use a pendulum, because this is so much fun and it is one of the easiest ways you can be your own pendulum. Not a lot of people know this. So a pendulum doesn't just have to look like this. They are so much fun. It can be a necklace. So if you were using a necklace, for example, I'll show you how to do it, because you don't have to buy a pendulum. You can always. So if you were to use just a necklace, find the heavier end and just use it as a single strand. If you didn't have a necklace and you just had a piece of string, I would pop a ring or a weight on it. You can't just, the string itself just tends to get caught in too many breezes. The way that you can also be a pendulum yourself is through your energy, and through, that's probably going to be another time because I want to quickly touch on this. But so when we use a pendulum, I'll just make it sure that you can see. So the best thing to do is always work out what it is that you want to know first. So if you, for example, if I wanted to ask it a question, a simple question about, will I move house? I know I'm not going to move house because I love where I live, but if I did want to move, you start off by asking it a couple of questions and thinking about the reasons behind what it is that you actually want to know. So I always keep mine in my hand. I have a few different ones, and what you do is when you hold it, just by holding it and thinking about what you want, you're sending your energy into it, and you're just working together, and it's starting to embrace what it is you want and what it is that you wouldn't. Always do a protection before. One of the biggest reasons why I teach protection first, and I can't stress this enough, because too many times I see on Instagram and different forms of social media where they will be doing things like, here, go out and cut your energetic cord, but they don't mention protection. Or here, go out and do this spell, but there's nothing talking about protection. If you're not protected, as I mentioned again, it's going to come back and get you, and that's not cool. Even simple things like watching people do spells online, and this is probably because I am very good with energy and it's been a big part of my life. By being live, people can actually, the screen can release entities and people can go in and manipulate the energy of what you want. So the best way, you must always be protected, and whether that is from your ancestors, your spirits, your angels, if you know your deity, then yeah, sure, one of them. So once you have done that, what we're going to do is we're going to program it. So you only really need to do this once. I know a lot of people do it a lot of times. Do it once, and then programming is basically asking it a yes, show me a yes, show me a no. So I already know yes for me is forwards and backs. Pendulum, show me a yes. And then I say pause. Pendulum, show me a no, which I automatically know goes across. Pendulum, show me a maybe. And I already know that goes around in a circle. So sometimes people like to rest their arm down like this and do it. I find that doesn't work. You will get sore muscles if you're not used to the upper body work from holding it, but it is better just to let your fingers float. So if you don't like the way that it shows you how to move, so if, for example, you want your yes to be across, you can direct it. So you can actually say, pendulum, I want my yes to be across, and I'm not going to do that to this because it will confuse it, but you can guide it into what you, pendulum, show me a no, meaning forward and back, and it will listen to you. It does. Sometimes it takes people a couple of times. It depends on how good you are with your energy and your intentions. And then when you start off, ask it some questions. So as you've done your protection, you've asked your angels or your ancestors, you've worked out which way it wants to go, and then ask it a questions. A simple question that, you know, angel, is a pendulum, is my name Mal? So it moves in a yes direction. Now if I was to turn around and say, pendulum, is my name Susan? And it automatically goes across. So meaning no. And that's just a good way when you are programming your pendulum on how to get the founding for knowing that it is working with the way that you want it to work. So everyone thinks that these can just be asked for yes or no questions, and if you are not sure, they're not just for yes or no questions, that's where the fun comes in. But pendulums can be used for amazing things. There is a million different grids that you can get. I have some here, I'm going to show you. Excuse me, just going to have a sip of tea first. I've done a lot of talking. So one of my favourite things is for lost items in my home. I am forever. I don't know if you've seen on my feed the other day, I posted one of the best banishing spells you can ever do is put something in a safe spot and say, now I'm going to put this in a safe spot, I really need it soon, and then all of a sudden you've lost it forever. That is my life. But one of the best things that you can do is, so this is just a simple map of a house. It's not my house, but if you draw out your house, and what you do with your pendulum is, if you had lost your car keys, for example, or your mobile phone, you would hold it, and it's going to be a little bit awkward. See if I can bring it down so you can see. There we go, maybe you can see. Yeah. All right, so where I've got it, and I would say, I'll do my car keys because it should show up they're not in this room. So if I was to stand near my front door and I'd say, all right, so again, protection first always, and you've gone through and you've done your programming to it. And then I would say, is my pendulum in the living room? Is my car keys in the living room? And it says yes. So I move across the living room space, and it's just a matter of going room by room through your house and give it a minute to associate with the actual room that it's in. So are my car keys in the living room? Okay, so it's saying yes. So then I would say, are they on the TV cabinet? And I just pick randomly in the room what it is. No, they're not. Okay, so are they on the couch? Huh. Okay, so my car keys are on the couch. And then I would say, are they on the purple couch? We have two. Yes, so then I'd go look on the purple couch. And that is one of the funnest ways to find something that you've lost. So just go through, and if it comes up with no, it's not in the living room, then go through to maybe the bedroom or, the bathroom, whatever it is that you're looking for. And same, you can do it in your car as well. You could draw out a picture of your car and here's my phone in my car. It's perfect for that. So this is a counting grid, if you can see. So this one here is amazing for, you always, when you see something like this, you always start with your pendulum here in the base. So from the swinging point of view. So how many days or weeks, and you stipulate, because you are in control of the question that you're asking, and that is so important. So you would stipulate, is it 2 weeks till I am going to meet the man of my dreams? And I'm pulling at that. So whatever the question is that you want to know, is it 3 weeks until football can be played again, whatever it is with the crowd, the question. But so by starting with, I should have left the phone down there, sorry guys. So yeah, by starting there, and then it will automatically swing into the area that you want it to go. This is a yes, no, and it's quite simple. Yes, no, and it has the alphabet on it. So you can ask specific questions of, I see these here are quite popular, and you'll often see these on cloths and different fabrics when people are selling them as a pendulum mat. I don't see the yes, no because I know the way that my pendulum swings. So I see that as just a bit of overkill, but the alphabet's really fun, and so are the numbers. So it might be the name of someone who you want to meet. Is my new boss going to, what's the initial of my next boss going to be, for example, or what's the initial of my next child going to be, those sorts of things. You can ask any random question and it will, again, start down here. This one has the Horus down there, so start down there and go up and it will swing. And the same with the numbers. This one here is for relationships. So this one here is where if you aren't sure of your relationship, and again, starting at this point, if you aren't sure of your relationship, then it's a really good one to guide. Is this a friendship? Is this more than a friendship? Is it going to be a short emotional relationship? Is it going to be a long-term mental relationship? And then the outside ones, you can always say, what's the potential of us being together? So, we might have a long spiritual connection with 100%, or we might be a medium physical, you might really just lust after someone. It might be a short physical relationship that has 50% chance of lasting. It's really good for those. Or it might not be a love one. It might be for, not just potential lovers, but things like a parent or a child or a sibling, or you might do, So you just got to, and if it swung across emotional and physical, then, and it was 30% not 30% physical and 90% emotional, then you would have some understanding of where that relationship is at right now. And I need to specify this because any question that you're asking a pendulum is relevant for right now. One of the beauties of magic is that it's free will. So as much as anyone can do anything, you have the free will, you have the power. And with you having the power, then you automatically get to determine. So if you are asking it a question, And then if someone comes to me for a reading and I turn around and say, yes, this is what's going to happen. If you walk out my door and you turn left, and on that, when you go left, you pass a rose bush, don't pick one of the roses, and then you'll meet the man of your dreams. But you walk out my front door and you're a bit dazed or a bit confused and you don't think, and you might turn right or you might turn left and you might pick one of those roses. And then you've changed the course, and that's how life works. So that is the beauty of free will. You don't have to do anything. And anything that is given is always given in the moment of when it's at. So if you're doing a relationship and you've been in a marriage for 20 years and you're asking, well, why isn't it physical only 40 today? That's because right now you might have eaten too much and you might not be physically attractive. So just go with it, because tomorrow you might be back up to 100. So just, be aware that there is that reality. This one here is a beliefs chart. So 0 being 0, 100 being 0. So should I move to another city? If it's yes, 100. If it's no, like it's what are the percentages and what are the chances? And you could ask it 3 different questions. So things like, am I going to move to New York? Am I going to move to Dallas? Am I going to move to Chicago? Chicago might be 10. Dallas might be 40. What was the other one I said? New York. That might be 90. And then you'd obviously go, all right, New York's what they're trying to tell me. So I'm just running you through different grids. This is a health chart. So much health going on in the world. And a condition, maybe you can see that. So this one here is used to evaluate health. So if we were perfectly balanced, again, start in the center, then what we need to do is we can compare our health to, when you are comparing your health or comparing anything, it's really important in the magic world to make sure that you are comparing it to someone of your age, of your gender, of your stature. So make sure that you are on an even, there's no point me turning around, I'm 40 this year. Why would I compare my health and ask the question, okay, do I have the same fitness and health as someone? And then the universe says, okay, well, the only people we have asking this question right now are 20-year-olds and they're all A-class athletes. So no, you're not in that league. That's why you need to be really specific in regards to asking questions, or if you can't think of all the questions, just think on level yourself, okay, against something. So that's the easiest way that I can describe that. So, and this is just a simple yes or no, rephrase the question. If you're not getting the answer that you want, people will ask the same question 15 different ways, and they often come to me and ask me, will I meet my soulmate? And I will say yes, and they'll say, okay, so will he be my lover? And I might say no. And then they'll say, well, will my soulmate be my lover? And there's so many ways to ask the same question that it's just really important that when the pendulum gives you an answer, accept it. It's anything in the magical world. It's not cool if we trick it, or we try and trick it, or we try and get a different way. It's okay to have doubt and to say, are you sure? Do that once, but to continually say, but I really want to meet my soulmate. No, really, your soulmate might not be someone who you marry to. It might be someone who's, it might be a girlfriend of 20 years. It doesn't matter, but that's just an example of, so I'm aware that I've run over time. As always, I love to do a chat, and my phone's going to cut out. So if anyone has any questions about anything, like I said, feel free to shoot me a message. And as I mentioned, if anyone's after crystal stuff or whatever, use my code, the Happy Witch 10, for Unearthed Crystals, because that's 10% off, and that's an awesome gift that they've given. And they have an amazing unique collection of unique crystals and their library. Check it out. They have cards and different things. This is my new Lumen edition deck that I got off them, and so this isn't sold anywhere else in Australia at the moment. They have it, and it is beautiful, but I only have a minute left, so I'm going to leave it open, and feel free, and thank you so much for your time, and I hope you really enjoyed it. Always feel free to shoot me a DM. It's really important that you all feel like you can ask me whatever it is that you want to ask. So I'll just have a sip of tea, and if anyone wants to say anything, I'd like to say hi to everyone. I think the time's going to cut out now, guys. It says that you only get an hour to do a live, so I've gone over 35 seconds. All right, bye, my loves. See you later. Bye.